So good day everyone, we are the reporters of Group 5 entitled On Becoming a Glocal Teacher. So when we look out, what was the situation of our world? So the world has been called a global village. It's because the world viewed as a community in which a distance and isolation had been reduced by the media, where satellite communications make possible television, telephone, and documents transmitted through fax and electronic mails across 1,000 miles in 1,000 of seconds. So, how may it relate to the topic of the chapter on becoming a global teacher? So first, we will discuss the global education.
Global education. It possesses a variety of goals ranging from increased knowledge about the peoples of the world to resolutions of global problems, from increased fluency in foreign languages to the development of more tolerant attitudes towards other cultures and peoples.
That's why global education embraces today's challenges as national borders are open, because it paves the way for borderless education to respond to the needs of the educating children of the world they are entering. That's why, as a future teacher, you should prepare to respond to these multiple challenges that suit as a global standard teacher. But why this chapter entitled On Becoming a Global Teacher instead of Global Teacher? So first, I will discuss this globalization is.
According to Roland Robertson's article in 1992, a sociologist, which entitled Globalization, Time, Space, and Homogeneity, Heterogeneity, he suggests there, through replacing the concepts of globalization to glocalization with a view in mind to blur the boundaries between global and local. Because Robertson offers to see the local as one aspect of globalization, which it may mean that a global outlook adapted to the local condition or a local outlook adapted to the global condition. Further, he also said that the term glocalization means it is local culture which assigns meaning to global influences, and that the two are interdependent and enable each other. Another definition is Oxford Dictionary of New Words, which defines the word local and the process noun word glocalization as a blending of global and local condition, a global outlook adapted to local condition, and a local condition to global perspective.
So as a future teacher, you have to blend both global and local perspective. As the saying goes, think globally but act locally, or think local but act global. Which means you can be a global teacher and at the same time a local teacher, if the local perspective considered based on culture, tradition, and context.
So let's proceed to lesson 1 entitled The Global and Local Teacher Professional. Is there a difference? But first, I will share a statement from Teacher Education and Development Program Master Plan for 2015 to 2025, which stated there that the 21st Century Philippine Education Master Plan is framed by cultural, historical rootedness, experiential and field-based learning, community development and transformation, and regional and international context and linkages, thus providing a strong foundation for developing local Filipino professional teachers. So, this statement is all about how to develop the Glocal Filipino professional teachers in the 21st century.
So how do you prepare yourself as a teacher for a challenging task of making learners for today live a meaningful life tomorrow? So as a global teacher, it is the one who is armed with a proper attitudes, values and skills in which she or he can able to teach the students how to deal with the modern education and how to use innovation in different places throughout the world. So next is the qualification on how to become a global teacher.
So here's the qualifications on how to become a global teacher. So first, to envision creative, must be innovative in ways to prepare diverse learners in their own cultural context, but without forgetting that they live in their local communities but within a global village. So as educators know, we must able to keep ourselves informed of how the future of educations and the future work are changing so that we can able to know what skills does students need or job market looks like so that we can able to know how to help them to develop their skills and even competence because they will be designing our future. So as a future teacher put, it is our responsibility to decide learning experiences that would prepare them to become a leaders or designers or even innovators and problem solvers. So next, so as a future teacher of 21st, no, we are now teaching in a flat world or one planet schoolhouse, which these two terms imply into first, global education as a result of shrinking world due to access and technology. This shrinking world means that it is the concepts of how technology impacted the world we live today, in which the gap of every country is close or the world seems small because of technology. So, the internet globalizes communications by allowing users from around the world to connect to one another. So, it means nga we are easy to communicate to the people we love or to ask information or even to find a job. We can easily communicate through technology. So next is the global and local teacher education. But first, we will define the global education, which it has been described by two definitions, which is first, UNESCO defines global education as a goal to develop countries worldwide and is aimed at educating all people in accordance with world standards. Another definition is that global education is a curriculum that is international in scope which prepares today's youth around the world to function in one world environment under teachers who are intellectually, professionally, and humanistically prepared. So next is, during the World Education Forum, the UNESCO's Education 2030 Ancient Declaration established a vision which is towards inclusive and equitable quality education lifelong learners for all, which the Sustainable Development Goal for Education or SDG 4 is one of the 17 goals of the United Nations SDGs. And the 7 of the 10 targets are expected outcomes while 3 are means of achieving their outcomes. So, these are the 7 outcome targets of the SDG 4 by the 2030.
So first, 4.1, Universal Primary and Secondary Education. The provision of 12 years of free, publicly funded, exclusive, equitable, quality primary and secondary education in which at least 9 years are compulsory leading to relevant outcomes. Next, 4.2, Early Childhood Development and Universal Pre-Primary Education. The SDG ensure by 2030 that all boys and girls have access to quality early childhood development care and pre-primary education so that they are ready for primary education, in which the provision of at least 1 year of free and compulsory of pre-primary education is encouraged to be delivered by well-trained educators as well as early childhood development care. 4.3, Equal access to technical, vocational, and higher education. By 2030, SDG ensure that equal access for all women and men to affordable and quality technical, vocational, and tertiary education including university. It is imperative to reduce barrier to skills development and technical and vocational education of trainee or TVET, which starting from the secondary level as well as tertiary education including universities, and to provide lifelong opportunities for youth and adults. The provision of tertiary education should be progressively free inclined with existing international agreement. 4.4, Relevant skills for decent work. So by 2030, the SDG ensure that substantially increase the number of youth and adults who have relevant skills, including technical and vocational skills for employment, decent jobs, and entrepreneurs, which it is equitable access to TVET or technological and vocational skills for employment, decent jobs, and entrepreneurships or TVET, which means to be expanded, but the quality is ensured. Learning opportunities should be increased and diversified using a wide range of education and training modalities so that all youth and adults acquire relevant knowledge and competencies with decent work in life. 4.5, Gender equality and inclusion. By 2030, SDG ensure that eliminate gender disparities in education and ensure equal access to all levels of education and vocational trainings for vulnerable, including persons with disabilities, indigenous peoples, and children in vulnerable situations. So, all people should have access equitable equality education and lifelong learning opportunities. And regarding to gender equality, all men and women or boys and girls should have equal opportunity to enjoy educations of high quality and achieve at all equal levels and benefits from educations. Next, 4.6, Universal Youth Literacy. By 2030, SDG ensure that all youth and a substantial proportion of adults, both men and women, achieve literacy and numeracy. These principles, strategies, and actions for this target are underpinned by the contemporary understanding of literacy as a continuum of a proficiency level of a given context, which all young people and adults across the world should have achieved relevant and recognized proficiency levels in functional literacy and numeracy skills. 4.7, Education for Sustainable Development and Global Citizenship. So by 2030, SDG ensure that all learners acquire knowledge and skills needed to promote sustainable development, including, among others, through education for sustainable development and sustainable lifestyles, human rights, gender equality, promote culture and
of peace and nonviolence, global citizenship, and appreciation of cultural diversity and culture's contribution to sustainable development. So, one of the means to achieve the target is to increase the supply of qualified teachers through international cooperation for teacher training in developing countries, especially the least developed countries and island developing states. So next is the James Becker 1988, which defined global education as an effort to help individual learners to see the world as a single and global system and to see themselves as a participant in that system. It is a school curriculum that has a worldwide standard of teaching and learning. So this means that as an individual, we tend to cooperate or show concern and interest of every part of our world through this global education. And in his article, Goals of Global Education, Becker emphasized that global education incorporates into the curriculum and educational experiences of each student a knowledge and empathy of cultures of the nation and the world, which, likewise, students are encouraged to see the world as a whole, learn various cultures to make them better relate and function effectively within various cultural groups. Thus, to meet the various global challenges of the future, the 21st century learning goals establish a various curricula worldwide, which is first, the 21st century content. Emerging content areas such as global awareness, financial, economic, business, and entrepreneurial literacy, civic literacy, health, and environmental awareness. This means that skills suggest integrating the knowledge and skills of these emerging content areas into the existing curriculum. So second, the learning and thinking skills. It includes critical thinking and problem-solving skills, communication, creativity and innovation, collaboration, contextual learning, information and media literacy, which means the students learn academic content through real-world examples, which is application or innovation, or it could be experienced both outside and inside of school, which they understand and retain more that their learning is relevant and engaging and more meaning to their lives. So, learning and thinking skills also include the ICT literacy, life skills, and 21st century. ICT literacy. Using technology in the context of learning so students know how to learn, which means it is an assessment to master their students' skills and competence in digital world so that they can learn and know the essential tools that can apply in the workplace or every life, including for accessing, integrating, and evaluate an information throughout the world. Life skills, leadership, ethics, accountability, personal responsibility, self-direction, and others. Which means a good teacher incorporated life skills that acceptable globally. So the challenge today is to incorporate essential skills into schools deliberately, broadly, and strategically. 21st century assessment. Authentic assessments that measures the areas of learning, which means like high-quality standardized tests for accountability purposes, which combine with classroom assessments to improve teaching and learning offers a strong balance assessment, which also all levels must use the new information technology to increase efficiency and timelines, which is the sophisticated assessment. So, last, on the other hand, global education, it is about diversity, understanding the differences, and teaching the different cultural groups in their own context to achieve the goals of global education as presented by the United Nations, which means through global education, the students learn a different cultural throughout the world uh, and learn also their educational system of every country throughout the world, so they can able to compete globally because they only already know the differences of what the other country have. Then provides equal opportunity and access to knowledge and learning tools, which are basic rights of every child in every community locality within the global community. So as in the seven outcomes of the SGD, it includes there that equal opportunity also, which means that even a person with disabilities or a children, they should learn also. They have the rights to learn of the differences throughout the world, either cultural, educational system, politics, and anything that related to the world, so that they can able to respect, learn, and able to manifest their differences of others.
From global teacher to glocal teacher professionals. Glocal teacher is a global teacher who is competent and armed with enough skills, appropriate attitude, and universal values. Values to teach learners at home or abroad. It is equipped with both time-tested in the modern technologies, in education, in any time and any place, both locally and globally with worldwide perspective. But it is teaching its communities, localities, towns, province, and region where he or she situated. A glocal Filipino characterized by the several qualities and attributes in addition to in-depth knowledge, functioning skills, and embedded values of a global teachers. First, understand how the world interconnected. 2. Recognize that the world has rich variety of ways of life. 3. Have a vision of the future that would be for their self and also for their students. 5. Understand, respect, and tolerant of diversity of cultures. 6. Believe and take action for education so that they sustain the future of the learners. 7. Facilitate digitally mediated learning. 8. Possess good communication skills or what we call multilingual. 9. Aware the international teacher standard and framework. 10. Master the competencies of the beginning teacher in the Philippine professional standard for teachers. The qualities of local teacher must be possess the following distinct characteristic and core values of Filipino teachers. First, cultural and historical rootedness. The teacher must build based on their culture and history of the learners and the place. Second, the ability and the contextual teaching learning by using local and indigenous materials, context, and pedagogy whenever appropriate. Third, excellent in a personal and professional competency, leadership, research, technologies, innovation, and creativity. Fourth, responsiveness. Through social involvement and service, learner-centeredness, respect, sensitivity for diversity, and inclusiveness. Fifth, accountability and integrity by being a positive role model with strong moral character, committed and conscientious, credible, honest, and loyal. 6. Ecological sensitivity by being resilient and steward of the environment for sustainability. 7. nationalism, and Filipinism. By being responsible citizen and upholding the Filipino identity amidst a globalization and globalization. 8. Faith in the divine providence by being just, peace, loving, and respectful of a human right. The needs of local teacher is the one of rise in several countries worldwide who will teach in rural and urban classroom imbued with the characteristic and attributes of the local teachers.
Lesson 2. A closer look at the teachers and teaching profession in Asian and beyond. So, in this lesson, we will describe the teachers professionals in the Asian and beyond, and also the current situation, circumstances, teaching, workplace, qualification, career and pathways, benefits and other that influence quality education. And this lesson will focus on the teachers in the 10 member states of ASEAN. And these 10 member states of ASEAN are Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, PDR, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, Thailand, Singapore, and Vietnam. So, we will also discuss about the view of professional practices, of purposes of comparison and development of mutual respect among countries. The ASEAN, one vision, one identity, one community. So let us now look closely at the teaching profession and professional of 10 ASEAN member countries as a whole. A. The levels of schooling as a teaching milieu. So in all countries in ASEAN, the level of formal schooling in the educational system are as follows. A. The level of schooling as a teaching milieu. So, in all countries in ASEAN, the level of formal schooling in the educational system are as follows. Number 1. Primary level. Primary level is composed of pre-primary and primary level. Pre-primary are the play school, pre-K, kindergarten, and the one is primary level. Primary level are composed of grade 1 in the age of 6, grade 2, age of 7, grade 3, age of 8, grade 4, age of 9, grade 5, age of 10, grade 6, age of 11. So in the Philippines, the level primary level refers to elementary level, and the elementary level has two sub-level. The primary grades, which include kindergarten to grade 4, and intermediate grades, which include grade 5 and 6. Number 2 is secondary level. In secondary level across the ASEAN, it composed of junior high school and senior high school. The graduates from senior high school can proceed to college or find a job appropriate to the qualification. However, there are slightly variation in some countries, such as lower secondary level is 3 years with grades 7, 8, 9, and while the upper secondary level is composed of grade 10, 11, and 12. In the Philippines, junior high school is composed of grades 7, 8, 9, 10, while senior high school are grade 11 and 12. So here are the tables of variation in the number of years in basic education level across the ASEAN members. Primary elementary have 5 years in Lao PDR. So in lower secondary had 4 years and upper secondary had 3 years. So total number of years are 12 years in Lao PDR. In Myanmar, primary elementary they have 6 years, and lower secondary they have 4 years, and upper secondary 2 years. So total number of years is 11 years in Myanmar. In Malaysia, there are primary elementary 6 years, lower secondary 3 years, and upper secondary 2 years. And total number of years in Malaysia is 11 years. And Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Thailand, and Vietnam had 6 years in primary elementary, 3 years in lower secondary, and 3 years in upper secondary. So total of number of 12 years. In Singapore and Philippines, it has 6 years in primary elementary and 4 years in lower secondary, 2 years in pre-university for Singapore. So total number of 12 years in Singapore and Philippines. So in summary, basic education levels in Asian countries have 12 years of formal schooling, divided into primary, lower secondary, and upper secondary levels. All primary education levels are compulsory, while in some countries, the secondary level is voluntary, except the Philippines. And in Singapore, the last 2 years level are pre-university levels. So, let's go on to tertiary level. Tertiary level is a college level which is beyond the basic education in all countries in the Asian. It is known as the ladder of educational system where the students earn a bachelor degree in every professions like in teacher education and which is required to take censure examination to become a professional teacher. So in the Philippines, the Technical Educational and Skills Development Authority or TISDA provides diploma and training certification for lifelong learning. The pre-service teachers get appropriate qualification degree in the tertiary level in order to teach in elementary or secondary level of educational system in public or private.
Number 1. The academic preparations of teacher professionals in basic education. ASEAN countries have comparable academic teacher education preparations. Preschool, pre-primary of kindergarten, future teachers of kindergarten is kinahanglan mo take og 9 years of basic education and get an advanced training of 3 years aron mamahimong magtutudlo or maestra. For lower secondary level, future teachers should have 12 years of basic education and 2 years of teacher preparation to earn a diploma in teaching. For upper secondary level, to earn a bachelor's degree, the requirement is 12 years of basic education plus 4 to 5 years of teacher preparation. And for non-education degree graduates, they can take the postgraduate diploma in education or teaching. This means an equivalent to 12 years of basic education plus 4 to 5 years of baccalaureate degree plus 1 year of graduate diploma. Differences are according to the context and needs in the education system of the particular member country, their history, culture, and aspirations. Number 2. Components of teacher preparation. There are 4 important components which are being addressed in the preparations of teacher. The first one of this is general knowledge and understanding. Future teachers' knowledge and understanding is very important at any level. They develop the flexibility for spotting opportunities that they can use for moving students' understandings forward. When teachers use their knowledge to enhance student learning, they are engaging in effective practice. Second, the pedagogy. Pedagogy refers to the method in how we teach or how to teach, the theory and practice of educating. Pedagogy is the relationship between learning techniques and culture, and is determined based on an educator's beliefs about how learning should and does takes place. The third one is the teaching practicum or experiential learning. It is an engaged learning process whereby students or future teachers learn by doing and by reflecting on the experience. Experiential learning activities can include but are not limited to hands-on laboratory, experiments, internships, practicums, field exercises, study abroad, undergraduate research, and studio performances. And the last one, we have the specialized knowledge or major courses. It is an essential for future teachers to have a strong grasp of the subject and material they are teaching. They need to know the expectations in development for children and different ages. And also, future teachers need to know the content they teach in ways that differ from what is taught and learned.
The teaching professions practices in the ASEAN. There are two teaching professions practiced in the ASEAN, which are the teacher's major responsibilities and the teacher licensing and recruitment. And first, the teacher's major responsibilities. There are three major responsibilities for the teachers, which are the actual teaching, management of learners, and the administrative work. And these three major responsibilities are carried out only in the teaching hours. These responsibilities are just only 8 hours per day, 4 hours per week, and 4 weeks per month, and 10 months per year. And the first teacher's major responsibility is the actual teaching, which is you are in the field of demonstration. You are in front of your students where you are discussing the topic you've been tackled in that day or that teaching time or teaching hours. Diri mag naanata sa atubangan sa itong mga estudyante nga kita na nagtudlo, which you are saying that actual teaching sa butabol naman nga kuan nga kita na nana sa atong nana atubangan sa atong mga estudyante nga kita nagatudlo na o naga-discuss. And then the second major responsibility is the management of learners, which is the teacher is responsible and guided to give an activity so that they will know if the students learn to his or her topic discussed in the class. It is the way for the teachers to know if the students listened to his or her discussion. Diri nga dapita maghatag kita og mga buluhaton nga magsukod kung namati ba nga tong mga estudyante o naminaw nakamao ba diri nato mahibaw-an ang ilang kuan dekalidad o ability nga dali ba sila makasabot or lisod o if that called is fast learner o so slow learner. And the third and the last major responsibility is the administrative work. This responsibility where you will analyze their answers and where you will know if they are listening in the discussion in the class. But listening is not enough, so in that way you will also know if they learn in the way of understanding the topic discussed during your classes time. So diri mahibaw-an na nimo nga nakamao ba sila so that you will review if some of the students they didn't learn in that topic, so you will be reviewing some keywords or key points about that topic so that they will be learn and they will know what is all about. With all the responsibilities mentioned are carried to all the professional and para-professional teachers. In this part, there are different level. In the primary level, where the teachers handle more than one specialized subject. All the subject in the grade level are taught by one teacher in a self-contained classroom. But in some cases, team teaching is practiced either vertically or horizontally. In vertical team teaching, for example, elementary science will be taught by one science teacher from grade 1 to grade 6, which is one subject taught in all grade level in the elementary except in pre-elem or kindergarten in all grade level in the elementary. And while for the horizontal team teaching, science will be taught by one teacher in one level with different sections or groups. So magtudlo ang usa ka maestra sa usa ka subject pero sa usa ra ka grado sa lain-lain nga sections. Dili pareho sa usa sa vertical nga imong ang usa ka subject itudlo dili sa usa ka level ra, so sa tanan nga level from grade 1 to grade 6. In the secondary level, teachers teaches the specific subject area or major area in the same level on in different grade levels. So sa high school, ang usa ka maestra magtudlo usa ka major subject which nga ija nga gieskwelahan nga ija bali nga major nga subject sa college nga iyang itudlo sa ija mga estudyante sa usa ka grade level or different year level, but usa ra ka subject ija pero dili ingon nga tanan nga grade level ijang tudloan kay there are more teachers man in the secondary majored in that subject. And the second teaching profession, which is the teacher licensing and recruitment. Most of the teachers are licensed as professional or certified to teach by the country's appropriate agencies. There are some teachers are not licensed or not certified, so they will called or become para-professional or just an assistant teacher. So sa ako ang nahibaw-an is sa public is need or required jud nga na kay lisensya sa pagka maestro o maestra. So you will take the licensure examination for the teachers or let. And sa private is you can teach if you don't have a licensure you didn't take a licensure examination or you failed in the let exam. And in the recruitment, there are the process and qualifications are guided by the Ministry of Education. In the recruitment, license ID is required also in the public schools, and in the private, I know that not all required to give that licensure ID. So dili man sa ako ang kuan nga ang nahibaw-an nga dili siguro umot lang og nanang need budget og lisensya if you will teach in the private schools, just like Catholic schools, or I don't know if they need that if they required or compulsory, but in public it is compulsory that you have that licensure, you pass that licensure examination for teachers.
The teacher and the teaching profession beyond ASEAN. There are 3 countries beyond ASEAN. These are China, Japan, and United States of America. China. Teacher in China form the largest teaching force in the world that has highly system of their education that's centralized by the National Education Commission. There are 2 versions of National University entrance examination. The China reputation and quality is depends on number of students who will pass the entrance examination. The Chinese tradition entered a new era of deep transformation after 1949. The new education system includes 6 years of primary education, 3 years of junior middle school, 3 years of senior middle school, 6 years of university, varieties of technical and vocational school. The 2 main categories of China based in their source and structures of their salary or pay. First category is gongban, in English state paid. Teacher earn salary comparable with other state employees in the state-owned enterprises. Second category is mingban, in English community paid. Their salary is depending on their local community and their local community is depending on the community income. State-paid teachers are categorized into grades according to their years of service and their standard performance. The 5 grade system are closed: software, senior, third, second, fifth, first grade teachers. Super grade teacher is highly level with occupy the upper level 5% of teaching force. Senior grade teacher occupy 6% of teaching force in 1990, where most in the primary level teaching belong. Their third grade and teachers. Second grade teachers include the majority of secondary teachers. First grade teachers, some of newly hired primary teachers. China's teacher licensing. The standardization of secondary teachers by control and government, while examination of elementary teachers are responsibilities of each province. Teacher should have at least graduate from secondary normal school or senior secondary school. While the junior high teacher colleges, the senior secondary teacher shall graduate from university or colleges, holder of degree from tertiary institution. Chinese teacher enjoy unquestionable authority. The Chinese society is that the teacher tells the single and absolute truth, and job of the student is absorb the knowledge conveying by the teacher without questions. It is common experience of the student to complete a 45 minutes class period without having talked once or called individually or was able to raise a question. Students are guided by the following tenets. First, important knowledge comes from teachers and textbook. Second, learning involves listening, thinking, and silent practice. Third, knowledge is espoused by the teachers and the textbook is not to be challenged. Japan educational system is sometimes seen as a model how to operate school. In Japan, education is free for compulsory for children from 6 to 15 years old. Standard curriculum includes Japanese language, social studies, math, science, along with art, music, home economics, physical education, with greatest emphasis on learning in Japanese language. The Japanese educational system is divided into 5 basic level: kindergarten, elementary school 6 years, lower secondary school 3 years, upper secondary school 3 years, and university usually around 4 years. Elementary school covers 6 years of schooling. From grade 1 to grade 6, teachers are females. Lower secondary school over grade 7, 8, 9. Men compose 2/3 of teachers in this level. The upper secondary school are ranked based in their success in placing graduate students into prestigious universities. The teaching profession in Japan. Major responsibilities entrusted upon the teachers for moral education and character development and for instilling values, attitude, and living habits in students at all levels. Teachers are expected to infuse cultural values throughout school or even at home and community. Teaching is one of few lifetime professionals. Career opportunities readily available to women in Japan. 90% of the new teachers have 4 years college degrees. The 1/3 is opening the elementary level, and nearly
at the upper secondary level. Teacher certification in Japan. The legal requirements of certification to teach in the preschool, elementary school, lower secondary school, and upper secondary school. First class certificate. Basic qualification having earned a bachelor degree to teach in the upper secondary level. Basic qualification in master degree. Second class certificate has a basic qualification of 2 years of study, or shall we say 62 units. Becoming employed as a teacher. Most of the public teachers as prefectural employee even if they teach in municipal schools. In addition, as completing degree, the teacher applicant must license of teach from the Prefectural Board of Education. A license awarded by any prefecture by valid prefecture. However, applicant is required to take prefectural appointment examination. The examination has 2 stages. First stage is consistent of written text in general education, specialized field, a skills test for PE, music, art, and all applicants of lower secondary teaching job are required to test the physical fitness. Second stage consists of interview. Age is very important of the teacher's applicant, required under the age of 30, but once the applicant gain entry of the teaching profession, they assured lifetime employment. Teachers are rotate from the one school to another with a prefecture of various schedules. United States of America. The American institution system has great influence by the Philippines in the educational system, specifically the making of Filipino teachers. The first American teachers called Thomasite, and the opening of the normal school in different provinces country provides a very strong foundation for the school teacher education. Basic education, the avenue for teaching job in USA. First, the level education in the USA similar to those in the countries include the Philippines. Primary education. These education are kindergarten, nursery school, primary programs, child daycare center. Age level is 4 to 6 years old, and the duration is 2 years. Primary education, elementary school, there are varied levels of schooling in primary school. Middle school education, grades 4 to 6, 5 to 7, or 6 to 8. Secondary school, high school, grade 7 to 12 or 8 to 12. Junior high school, grades 7 to 8, 7 to 9, or 8. Senior high school, grades 9 to 12 or 10 to 12. Duration of compulsory education is from entire of 6 years old to exit of 18 years old. Become a professional teacher in USA. Pre-service students who are preparing to teach in any above grade level have to attend a college or university of years, major, minor education to earn a teaching certificate. Earning teaching certificate. A teaching certificate earned in the one state may or may not be recognized in other. There are increasingly practice require that prospective teachers demonstrate some minimal level of competency by passing a competency test before they are allowed to enter the profession. It is required that the teachers also renew their certification by continuing to take renewal credits. Permanent certificate is granted if the teacher performs adequately according to the standard established by the state. Recruitment of teachers. A recommendation to hire to the local school board. Once a teacher has a legally binding contract to work unless guilty of a crime, will show teacher competencies or demonstrate indigenous professional conduct. Salary teachers. Teacher who has earned master plus 30 doctorate units earn more than those with master degrees, while teacher with master degrees receive a higher salary than a bachelor degree holder. What makes a good American teacher? A great teacher respects students. 2. A great teacher creates a sense of community and belonging in classroom. 3rd, a great teacher is warm, accessible, enthusiastic, and caring. 4. A great teacher sets high expectations for all students. 5. A great teacher has his own love of learning. 6. A great teacher is skilled leader. 7. A great teacher can shift gears. A great teacher collaborates and collegates on ongoing basis. 9. A teacher maintains professionalism in all areas.
Letter E. The Global Teacher Status Index of 2013. In 2013, the Varkey Gems Foundation, a non-profit organization registered with the Charity Commission for England and Wales, conducted the first ever Global Teacher Status Index. 21 countries were chosen based on PISA and TIMMSS. Index determined the level of respect afforded the teachers in the specific country. So the Global Teacher Status Index is based on in-depth opinion by populace in 35 countries that explore the attitudes and the issues ranging from what is a fair salary for teachers to whether they think pupils or students respect teachers to how highly people learn their own education system. The Global Teacher Status Index are focused on finding out if teaching is a profession that teachers would like their children to pursue. In countries with a higher level of respect for teachers or educators, such as China and Greece, more than half responded that they would encourage their children to pursue the teaching profession. In the case of Brazil and Israel, 20% or less want their children to enter into that profession. Another compelling case is the Spain, one of the 10 countries where the educator is least respected. Still, to this particular question, 80% answered that they would definitely encourage or perhaps encourage their children to be teachers, which shows that in several countries there is a dissociation between respect, pay, and whether a parent would encourage their children to enter the profession. Results were collated and clustered through sections: teacher status, perception of teacher reward, and teacher agency and control. Social status of teachers. Contextual understanding of the teacher status was done by ranking teaching alongside the other professions in the country. 2/3 of the country said that teachers are similar to social workers. Second closest status was to librarians. Teachers are nurses in New Zealand, and teachers are doctors in China. Teaching sought after profession. When parents were asked if they would encourage their children to become teachers, the summarized answers are as follows. 50% of parents in China provide positive encouragement for child to become teachers. China is joined by South Korea, Turkey, and Egypt, while parents in Israel, Portugal, Brazil, and Japan are least likely to encourage their children to become teachers. Pupil respect for teachers. Parents were asked to respond whether they believe that teachers are respected by their pupils. In China, 75% of the respondents believe that students respect their teachers. In Turkey, Egypt, and Singapore,
have a high level of belief with an average of 46%. In Europe, higher levels of pessimism about students' respect for teachers than in Asia and the Middle East. In most of the European countries surveyed, more respondents thought pupils disrespect the teachers than respect them. Perceptions of teacher reward. This actually refers on how much salary does the people think that a teacher gets paid, how much actually does a teacher gets paid, and what people think on how much salary should a teacher gets paid. Average actual teacher salary in the countries surveyed. In Japan, France, and US, it was judged that actual pay is 6% to 55% higher than the actual pay. This was opposite to most of the countries surveyed, which judged the wages is below the fair rate of pay. In 95% of our surveyed countries, people think that teachers should be paid a wage in excess of the actual wage they thought they received. So in countries where the estimated view of teacher wages was higher, the students' outcomes were better. Or the teacher wages was higher, the students' outcomes were better. So under this, we have performance-related pay. The performance-related pay should be used according to performance. So respondents were asked if the teachers should get paid according to achievements of their pupils, which really reflect underperformance. In all 21 countries, more than 59% of people think that teachers ought to be paid according to the performance of their pupils. The average across countries was 75%. Teacher agency and control. The status of the teacher is also dependent on the people's trust to deliver good education. The researcher was asked to rate the education system of their country and whether the teachers could be trusted in delivering good education. Results have shown that no country gave a rating below 5, suggesting that all countries place satisfactory to positive trust in new teachers. In Finland and Brazil, displayed strong trust in their teachers, while Israel, Japan, South Korea, and Egypt showed a limited amount of trust in the teachers. The average score across all countries was a 6.3 out of 10. So, to finally sum this all up, teachers are being perceived across the country differently. Citing the index, it was stated that this informs who becomes a teacher in the country, how they are respected.
Lesson 3. The changing global landscape for the 21st century teachers. And this lesson, there are two subtopics which the changing global landscape and the 21st century skills for teachers, and UNESCO's 4 pillars of learning from Delos report, learning a treasure from within. In my side, I will discuss the first subtopic, which the changing global landscape and the 21st century skills for teachers. Where we are in the era of borderless or flat world. The barriers are broken by the new information and communication. In these changes of the global landscape and the 21st century skills is urgent need to understand in the new landscape that is brought about changes in leaps and bounds of the century. There are 5 different changes and developments in the 21st century teaching and learning. Sa changing global landscape and the 21st century skills for teachers is diri nga karon nga generation kanang dili wala nay babag para dili ta maka-communicate sa ni bisan kinsa ni bisan asa pa man siya unsa pa man siya kalayaon, borderless kanang wala ni magbabag, so kanang pwede na ka communicate pareha na nga karon atong generation. We can communicate by the use of technologies, internet. By that, we call that borderless world or a flat world. Pantay na tanan, wala nay magharang. So in the 5 different changes of development, which is the new learning environment, the first changing developments, the idea of learning environment that is exact and comfortable to the learners in listening the discussion and in learning the topic, a place where interactions will occur among the learners and teachers and the surroundings happen. So in the new learning environment is in this generation is more on technology, but in the traditional, which is in the learning environment, which is comfortable, nga dapat aw nga unta dili siya alingugngog kay aron maka-focus ang mga estudyante sa pagpaminaw sa discussion sa maestra. So kay naman di man ta makapaminaw og sakto if naay banha, just like sa mga tapad-tapad nga classroom kay na may time nga ang pikas classroom may maestra, so the students will make noise. So mabahin ang hunahuna sa maestra ug sa mga estudyante nga ang pikas dunggan ato sa alingugog, ang pikas tuwa sa discussion. So dili dapat siya is comfortable para sa og kanang sakto para sa mga estudyante ug sa maestra. And this learning environment, there are 4 characterization where the first is the learner-centered. Learner-centered, where the teachers must focus to the learners or in the students. Kay if dili ka mag-focus sa mga estudyante, then ang imong focus is the subject or in your own, kanang dili makamao imong mga estudyante. So wala sila matiguhan about sa imong mga discussion kay ditso ra man ka og discuss, dili nimo pamatian ang side, dili nimo pamation ang side sa mga estudyante nga kanang ma'am sir wala pa mi kasabot unsa na ingana. So dapat imong focus tuwa sa mga estudyante nga kanang dapat if dili pa sila makabao or wa pa sila kasabot, imong i-review, i-revive or kanang imong usbon og discuss, or dili sa ingon nga tananon pero more on imo jong i-review kay aron sila makasabot imong balikon para raman pod na nila, kay dili man na para nato ang kay kita kay as a future teacher or in the mga teachers, they are only a facilitator that facilitate or guide to the learners or students to be learned and knowledgeable in the future. The second characterization is the new space and borderless. New space where is kanang bag-ong hawang o lugar o kanang wa nay harang, wa nay babag kay sa ato nga henerasyon karon bag-o naman ang panahon, mga lugar kay more on technology naman taron. Used by the technologies, we are living by the technology. With the technology, borderless, we can communicate others without any excuses. Bisa may makaog layo man ko, maka-communicate gihapon, maka-istorya gihapon. So sa karon awa na dili na ingon nga wala excuses nga dili nimo madya communicate, pero na may sometimes lagi nga hinay ang signal, way signal, or napoy uban kusog ang signal. So borderless man pero less gihapon ang signal. And the third is the enhanced opportunity for creativity and innovations. Kini gipalambo nga higayon para usbon og maghim og magmugna bali diri pwede imo i-innovate ang usa ka butang gikan sa traditional time imo siya i-innovate nga ma-useful gihapon siya sa karon nga generation in that learning environment. And the last characterization, which is the use of ICT. The ICT kanang technology kana is more on computer. So discussing in just like we are doing now nga technology atong gamit during sa mga klase nato sa bisan asa nga subject. So and the second changes is the new learning contents. It is the theme, topic, beliefs, concepts, and facts. It is the contained idea in the lesson which you will be tackled in the discussion. A new learning contents is ang bag-o nga mga sud o mga sulod sa mga topic karon kay so dili naman ingon para sa una nga wa nay technology, so more on technology na ang discussion karon where you will be in the future using. And this new learning contents have 4 characteristics, where the integrated or interdisciplinary, the demand driven, the emphasis on learning tools on how to retrieve knowledge, and balance of scientific, technological, cultural, global, and local. The third changes is the new process of learning and how this will be facilitated. These processes they have multiple ways of learning, where each the face-to-face, distance learning, blended modalities, experiential, and lifelong. In a face-to-face, where we experience that before this pandemic happened, nga mag-interact personal in person ang estudyante ug ang teacher. In distance learning, just like this time, mag learning ang mga estudyante nga layo sa mga maestra o layo sa eskwelahan. Kuan ra siya kanang gipang send ra siya. So kuan ra siya kanang no physical presence, both teachers and students or learners. In the blended modalities, which is online or module. In online, just like this virtual conference during your class hours. And in module, the teachers just only give a module or hard copy so that to answer for you to have points or performance. But in online, sended only in Messenger, Google Meet, Google Classroom used in this online classes. And the last is the experiential and lifelong. Experiential and lifelong is more on the real life experience. Bale, imo siya nga i-relate sa imong mga experience nga kuan siya kanang real life situation. Bale, dili wala siya mga dili makapamaka kay kuan man siya gikan man sa imong mga kaagi sa kinabuhi. The fourth changes the new types of learners, which is the confident person, self-directed, a concerned citizen, a member of the new generation. There are 4 characteristics who develop the life and career skills. What are these life and career skills? These are the following. The life career skills, which are the flexibility and adaptability. The flexibility and adaptability is the adapt various roles, responsibilities, and schedules. And flexibility kanang flexible ka bisan nasa pwede ka sa module, pwede pud ka sa online. Kanang pwede nimo dunganon siguro. Or sa adaptability, you can adapt both. Mo adapt ka sa module modular system or this technological online system in this classes kanang mag-online class. And the second, life and career skills is the initiative and self-direction. Initiative ka nang mobuhat ka nga walay sugo. So imo ra buhaton diretso nga kuan bali ihatag siya ka usa pero initiative na nimo kung buhaton nimo sa sakto nga time. Dili late, dili po siya ingon nga on top sa time, so murag early, murag mo ingon ka industrious, so mopasa. Na self direction is kuan siya kanang or kuan siya kanang nanas siya kaugalingon nga tulumanon siguro. Dili na ka maglisod niya og sugo or instruct kay murag self-directed na siya daan. The third is the social and cross-cultural skills. Social is respect of cultural differences and work effectively with others. So, ma-socialize, makipag-socialize sa lain nga mga laing learners o mga estudyante. And that fourth is the productivity and accountability. Productivity, kung ano siya kanang produce result, mura siya og kana pareho nga nang maghatag ka activity, so he or she can produce an answer. So, but in productivity, there are some thing nga pwede ma-produce usa ka learner without any instruction. So, more initiatively produced by the learners. The last is the leadership and responsibility. Leadership is just like just like our president giving one of the leader in some country in the one of the country in the world. So, leadership kanang pagda sa usa ka grupo or usa ka kanang lugar nga o usa ka komunidad where kanang imong sidya nga nasidjay kaugalingon nga baruganan. Leadership kay syempre leader ka dapat na kay sakto nga mga pamaagi para ang usa ka imong mga nasakupan ginsakpan imo madani mo o mahiusa nimo mahimo sila nga usa sa na may uban lagi nga there are community but there are different groups, so buwag-buwag sila. In leadership, there are skills nga pwede nimo sila nga himuon nga usahon usahon kay na may pamaagi nga pwede nimo silang hatagan og higayon nga coordination. Sa responsibility, kanang just like a leader responsible niya ang usa ka lugar o usa ka grupo kay unsay mahitabo kanang kay ang leader man jud ang sunahon o ang tawgon kay syempre si Jagoy nagda, so responsible niya nga responsible just like teacher responsible for the teachers to manage their students o learners nga maadyo niya pagda o maadyo pud niya pabuhi o pray nga nga mo kuan na. And the last changes is the new type of teachers. The teachers for the 21st century teach within the context of new content or knowledge and new process of teaching and learning. There are new types of teachers that must be possessed are the following. The first new types of teachers is the clear standards and accountability. Clear standards, so kana siya nga that their learners should know and be able to do at the end of their schooling. Use board pedagogies, including inquiry-based learning, cooperative learning, and other pedagogies. Skillful in the integration of ICT in pedagogy, skillful in the use of assessment, great understanding, skillful in action research, practice the core values of inspiring teachers, develop life and career skills for the 21st century and beyond. So, in this changes, the new type of teachers is nanay mga bag-ong identity sa usa ka maestro sa karon nga in this 21st century kay sa mga maestra karon is kung ano man kanang high-tech naman gamit magklase with television connected by their laptops or computer or USB kay gamit na lang dili na nanay uban dili na magamit og blackboard kay kaso kuan chok da maka daot pud sa atong health kay abog syempre maka kuan sa baga so dili na pareho sa una nga more on chalk writing so sa karon is more on kuan na kanang encoded na daan discuss na lang ka so dili na kadyo consumed ang time within the teaching hours.
B. UNESCO 4 Pillars of Learning from Delos Report, A Treasure from Within. Jacques Delors wrote a report for the UNESCO entitled A Treasure from Within. It was because he believed that within each child lies a treasure. The 4 pillars are seamlessly linked to each other. The 4 pillars of learning are learning to know, learning to do, learning to be, learning to live together. Number 1. Learning to know. This implies thirst of knowledge and acquisition of such knowledge. More so, it is learning how to learn throughout one's life. An individual who is knowledgeable is literate. Being literate is always related to being knowledgeable. Thus, the definition of the word literacy evolved through time. So, with the changing of global landscape, literacy in the 21st century is not limited to the definition that was given previously. So, here are some 21st century literacies as presented by Simio. The 21st literacies, the arts and creativity. Creativity and innovation are 21st century skills. Thus, in solving problems and creating artworks are part of the literacy. Eco-literacy, acquisition of knowledge about climate change, pollution, loss of natural habitats, and biodiversity. Solution on how these environments problem could be addressed must be practiced. Cyber literacy, digital literacy, information and ICT knowledge. Being in the rapid change in the use of technology for teaching and learning, teachers and learners need to develop and enhance the use of digital gadgets whether online or offline. Financial literacy. Basic knowledge about basics of economic and financial management. This is necessary for every learner and teachers to be able to handle income, expenses, and investment to be economically secure. Media literacy. Teachers and learners must learn how to discern about any information which are transmitted via various forms on media. Social emotional literacy. Knowledge about social dimensions and social skills that are appropriate in the context of society. Emotional intelligence must also be developed to be able to effectively manage the stresses due to the changing environment of the 21st century society. global and multicultural literacy. If you respect multicultural diversity, aware of global trends, acknowledge difference and similarities, respect each other's dignity, then you are multicultural literate. So, the second pillar, learning to do. To apply knowledge, one must have the 21st century skills. Qualification now is equated to skills and not knowledge alone. Learning by doing is a pragmatist view of life. Knowledge acquired is nothing unless applied in a daily life. The third pillar is learning to be. It is one of the most difficult things to do among the pillars. It implies developing and potentials of each individual. Continuing education must improve self-knowledge and self-esteem. What would you like to be? To this question, you will require self-analysis, reflection, social skills, creativity, and personal discovery. So there's a question. Have you decided of what you should really become? A teacher? Do you have now the skills that enable to become one? So the last pillar is learning to live together. This refers to the relationship among people. It's bringing in together a community to work harmoniously, to live in peace and prosperity, and show respect and concern for others. This also refers to interpersonal skills that will enable people to live side by side with the others at home, in school, in the community, and the whole world. All the pillars are interrelated, which is other as basic principles. One pillar will not function if it stands alone. There is a need to connect in order to address the 21st century demands for teaching and learning. So that's all for the four pillars. Thank you for listening.